Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to Robotics Recap, a monthly breakdown of all the news from Robotics 24/7 at Peerless Media. I'm your host, Tim Culverhouse, editorial director of Robotics 24/7, and now it's time to look back at all the robotics and automation news from June 2026. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on whatever medium you listen to it, and also get the latest episode of Robotics Recap as soon as it's released. Our release cadence is the last Wednesday of every month asterisk for June 2026 because of Automate. We've reached the midway point of 2026, so don't forget to catch up on our first 5 editions of the Robotics Recap podcast from January, February, March, April, and May. Today's Robotics Recap kicked off our Automate 2026 coverage with previews about the show in Chicago. This episode will review all the major news and notes from the show, which you can follow along here. We also had some interesting mergers, acquisitions, integrations, and deployments from around the robotics and automation world in June 2026. So without any further ado, let's get into our podcast, starting with a recap of Automate 2026 from McCormick Place in Chicago. Let's start our recap of Automate 2026 from some of the major headlines that took place breaking in Chicago. First, NVIDIA announced Halos for robotics. Now, the company says it's the industry's first full stack safety system for physical AI. It's also an extension of the company's Halos for autonomous vehicles platform. InOrbit.ai demonstrated the future of multi vendor robot orchestration and physical AI. And on the Automate show floor, InOrbit demonstrated its space intelligence platform, serving as the orchestration layer for the quote sentient enterprise. Now, at McCormick Place, InOrbit Space Intelligence coordinated 8 different types of robots, from AMRs, humanoids, and also manual pallet jacks, as part of a demonstration showcasing orchestration with multiple vendors. Robot.com launched the Arnoid humanoid robot. The company says that its new humanoid is built to fill the shifts no one wants to work. The company has multiple deployments in the service sector right now and plans to have more shipped by the end of 2026. Dexterity and Kawasaki Robotics expanded their collaboration to scale physical AI for warehouse logistics. Now, Kawasaki's RL030N robot arm platform combines the company's industrial robot engineering with the Dexterity Mech superhumanoid and also Dexterity's Foresight World motto. Neurorobotics showcased its full stack robotics platform in Chicago, offering demos of the company's cognitive robot portfolio, the Neuroverse platform, and also NeuroGym environments. Doosan Robotics unveiled Palletize HD Plus, an AI palletizing system. Now, Doosan says it integrates AI, robotics, and the Palletize OS platform to help manufacturers increase throughput and simplicity for palletizing operations. Teradyne Robotics unveiled a wide range of production-ready physical AI applications. The company's booth in Chicago showcased deployable physical AI offerings, ranging from electronics manufacturing to the logistics space. Also with Teradyne, Vention announced collaborations with the organization alongside Fanuc. Now, Vention's platform expands access to software-defined automation across collaborative and now industrial robotics. And lastly, Rockwell Automation launched the FactoryTalk orchestration software platform. Now, the company says that FactoryTalk orchestration coordinates end-to-end material flow, production processes to improve throughput, and operational responsiveness across factory floors. Now, that serves as a very small sample of Robotics 24/7's coverage of Automate 2026. You can catch up on all the latest news and notes from everything that happened before, during, and after the show on robotics247.com. Some observations that I had walking around the show floor in Chicago last week. The first one was that physical AI was everywhere, regardless of if it was the manufacturing sector, logistics, somewhere in the supply chain. Physical AI has been a buzzword on the site for months and months now, and Automate, even more so than I would say Modex a couple of months ago, really showed the real world embodiment of what physical AI means for the labor workforce and what it means as a deployable solution across industries. Whichever booth you were at, especially some of the bigger ones and the larger robotics and automation organizations from around the world, Physical AI was really taking that next step and turning the term into a tangible, hardware focused and hardware forward platform. Another thing I saw from walking the show floor, cobots were everywhere as well. We saw multiple organizations release new cobots, new cobot lines, expanding cobot payload capabilities, a myriad of different headlines related to the cobot space. And I took this to mean that collaborative capabilities are really expanding again across industries. And it wasn't just some of the larger global robot organizations that were developing these cobots. There were some smaller, mid-size, North American based or European based organizations that came out with new cobots at Automate 2026. And Interact Analysis has research out there that shows cobot shipments are growing and projected to grow for the next handful of years. And it seems like the marketplace is following suit. Another observation from Automate 26 was the expansion of edge technologies. Whichever booth I was at, I saw sensors, components, all related to data collection at the edge and also data analysis at the edge. And that ties into the next observation I have is that components are shrinking in size but growing in power. And I'll stick with NVIDIA as a specific example with this. NVIDIA GPUs continue shrinking in size, and when they're working alongside processors and other edge components at the physical edge, these organizations are harnessing this data and converting it into analysis that they can use immediately in production, again, regardless of the application. So I noticed at a lot of the booths at McCormick Place that these organizations were developing or utilizing edge elements and harnessing the power of that data right where the application takes place and turning that into tangible benefits. Lastly, I want to say that general purpose robots and humanoids were pretty prevalent on the show floor at McCormick Place. Saw different organizations with their long-standing humanoids or their newly released ones. And while there was that usual split of the visual appeal and plenty of crowding around booths with humanoid robots, there was a larger push toward humanoids in general service, or I guess I would say general purpose applications. You've just got the long-standing ones in warehouse and logistics and handling these tasks in replacement of humans, but there seems to be a shift, and I'll continue keeping my eyes on this for the site, that these humanoid robots are transitioning into more of a service application in the hospitality sector, restaurants, consumer usage, home usage. And it's an interesting trend, kind of carries over from an observation I had at Modex where humanoids really weren't very prominent. But at Automate, in conjunction with the humanoid robot form that took place there, humanoids are still here. There's still plenty of news around humanoids. And while their viability can still be up in the air, regardless of the industrial application, organizations are still powering forward with these sorts of technologies. So that's just a brief overview of Automate 2026 on Robotics 24/7. Again, we have a full list of coverage on the site, taking a look at the major deployment news, new products, funding, new components, anything that happened from Chicago, you can read about it on robotics247.com. Now let's take a look at some news and notes from not Automate this month. In the funding and acquisition sector, Generalist AI raised $400 million that the company says it will use to scale its physical AI platform. StandardBots, the Long Island-based robotics organization, announced a Series C of $200 million that values the company at $1 billion. Neurorobotics announced its own Series C for up to $1.4 billion. And lastly, this news came out right at the end of the month during Automate. Agility Robotics made the announcement to go public in its merger with Churchill Capital Corp. 11. Now, this gives Agility Robotics a $2.5 billion valuation, and to the best of my knowledge, represents the first humanoid-focused organization to enter the public sector and also enter public trading. So we'll keep an eye on what that means. And lastly, Fort Robotics acquired Mapless AI, adding remote supervision and active safety capabilities to Fort's portfolio. On the partnership news segment, three headlines that I saw, especially at the end of this month. Serve Robotics expands its autonomous robot portfolio with the partnership of No Scrubs. Now, Serve will now enter the autonomous laundry delivery space. Brightpick and True Automation partnered to expand their robotic fulfillment portfolio. And Ambi Robotics announced an integration with Pickle Robot. Now, the companies say that this technological integration will deliver physical AI systems for inbound logistics automation, specifically trailer unloading and inside warehouse conveyance and palletizing. Now, that will wrap up our June 2026 Robotics Recap podcast. But before we sign off, I do want to turn our attention to the calendar and some exciting news coming up from Robotics 24/7. We'll be releasing our next special focus issue on July 15th. This one is titled The Inner Workings of Robots, Components and Sensors, where we'll have a bunch of stories related to motors, gears, sensors, safety systems, grippers, and more. All those inner workings, the critical components that make these robots tick. In August, Robotics 24/7 will host our next roundtable webinar. That'll be on August 12th, and it's titled Robots in Dull, Dirty, and Dangerous Environments. And on September 16th, Robotics 24/7 will host the fifth annual Robotics Applications Conference, also known as RAC. RAC 26 will have more details on the Robotics Applications Conference coming out soon. Thank you once again for tuning in to our June 2026 Robotics Recap podcast. Don't forget you can download and subscribe to Robotics Recap on the podcast platform of your choosing. We look forward to seeing you again at the end of July as we take a look at more news and notes from around the robotics and automation space, especially as innovation continues at such a breakneck pace. This is Tim Culverhouse, Editorial Director of Robotics 24/7. Thank you again for listening, and we look forward to seeing you in July for the next episode of Robotics Recap.